All right, so this is an informative speech all about college basketball and the NBA and the history of how it started and how it grew into what it is now, which basketball now is one of the most popular sports in not just US, but in the entire world. So the purpose of this speech is to explain what makes the basketball, college, and the NBA so special and the history behind it. So the game of basketball was invented by Dr. James Naismith in 1839, and the original objective of basketball was basically just to throw a basketball into fruit baskets that were like strapped to the railing of the gym balcony and these like gyms. Now, throughout the years of basketball, it's changed a lot, and every year it's decided by a champion and what's known as arguably the greatest sporting event in U.S. history, which is known as March Madness. Even if you're not a basketball fan, even if you're not a sports fan, you have probably heard of March Madness because of how well known March Madness truly is. So, have you ever seen like a grown man or a grown woman crying full tears in March over a basketball game? Or seen a grown man cry in May over the NBA Finals because his team just lost on a buzzer beater in Game 7, LeBron James chase down block, that type of deal? Well, that's what makes college basketball. That's what makes the NBA. That's what makes basketball in general such an amazing sport. That's what it's all about. It's about the feels. It's about the emotion. It's about everything that comes with it. So I personally fell in love with the game of basketball when I was as young as 6 or 7 years old, and every winter and in spring, all I would do is watch college basketball. To this day, all I do is watch college basketball during the spring and during the winter. Now, I was born in Lexington, Kentucky. I lived in Kentucky for years, and I grew up a Kentucky fan. I even wore this hoodie for this video that I've had for years. It says Kentucky basketball. Because I love Kentucky basketball. I love Kentucky football. I love Kentucky all sports. But this is about basketball, so I decided to wear the Kentucky basketball hoodie. And I've been a fan my whole life, probably about 9 years now in total. And literally the only time I miss a game is if I literally have to. Like, someone's on their deathbed dying, fine, I'll miss it. And I still don't want to miss it. That's how much I care. And throughout the years, I've studied the game from top to bottom. My dad's a high school basketball coach. I would love to be a high school basketball coach one day, and even further than that, I'd love to be a college basketball coach one day. That person would be my dream. So I've studied the sport up and down throughout the years, and I have a decent amount of knowledge on it. So I think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to basketball. And a thing about basketball that some people might not realize is it's not just an American sport. It's all around the world. Basketball, outside of soccer, is probably the most well-traveled world sport in the entire world. There's leagues in Japan, there's leagues in China, there's leagues in so many other countries out there and some of them if they're good enough, come and play college basketball. If they're good enough, they go to the NBA. Guys like Victor Wembanyama, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, all those are stars in the NBA, and they came from across the world. They weren't born or lived in America. And so you hardly can't go through school as a child without hearing about March Madness or who's a better player between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, or Kobe Bryant or Larry Bird, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, all the best players in the entire world. You probably can't go throughout school without hearing of these players. So last year alone, the March Madness viewership averaged 10.3 million viewers per game. And the Final Four actually averaged 18.6 million viewers. So you can just tell how much care and support there is into basketball. Not just across the country, but across the world. So, to review, once again, my topic is all about the game of basketball. And my main points are going to be about the invention of the game, the first professional leagues, teams, and organizations, and then we're going to talk about modern day basketball, like the modern day college basketball, the modern day NBA. So basically, the whole point of this is because basketball is an amazing sport. It's grown so much over the years, but you can't grow something that wasn't started. So how did basketball all begin, and what were the first teams? So that's where we get into the game of basketball. Was invented by a gym teacher named Dr. James Naismith in December of 1891, as we talked about before. And it was invented in Springfield, Massachusetts. And eventually, the game developed into teams and leagues. So the game at first consisted of 2 peach baskets nailed to the lower railing of the gym balcony, as we talked about before. And it actually consisted of a soccer ball. And, of course, there would be 2 teams, like we see now. And the side making the most goals, shooting the most hoops, wins. In the time periods declared the winner. So at the start, the time was declared 15-minute halves with 5-minute rest in between. And in today's time, college basketball will have 20-minute halves and then a 15-minute rest in between. The NBA will do 4 12-minute quarters with a 15-minute rest in between. So on December 21st of 1891, Dr. James Naismith published 13 rules for the game of basketball. So this is when rules got developed into the game. It wasn't, you can't just tackle somebody on the court. There's out of bounds, there's fouls, there's half court, there's full court. There's all these different rules that was added to the game. And the first professional league was founded in 1898, where there was only 6 teams that were in the NBA, the National Basketball League. So it actually started the NBL at the time. And the first all-African American professional team was founded in Harlem, and they were actually called the Wrens. Now, the first league that started in 1891 eventually ended up getting abandoned in 1904, and the first recorded game between 2 college teams was on February 9th, 1895, and it was Hamline University versus the University of Minnesota. And you can tell how much basketball has changed because the final score of that game was like a low-scoring football game. It was 9-3. Minnesota won 9-3. So you can tell how much the game's changed. Imagine if we were watching basketball now and the final score was 9-3. So the NCAA, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, was formed in 1909. And the NCAA men's basketball tournament, known as March Madness, was started in 1939. So that's how basketball was started. But what is it like now? So the NBA, as we talked about before, has helped make basketball one of the most popular sports in the entire world. A large reason why basketball became so popular is because of the stars that changed the game, like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Julius Erving, Larry Bird, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain. All names that even people that don't really know basketball, they know these names, and that's what made basketball really become so popular. So to talk about the positions of basketball, you got the point guard, which is usually the fastest and shortest player on the court. This isn't always, but that's usually the case. And this player normally organizes the team offense, controls the ball, usually the person to call the plays. You have the shooting guard. He is a guy who is supposed to be a spot-up shooter. He's a little taller than the point guard, but he's not too tall, but he's supposed to be a spot-up shooter. You have a small forward who is about the same. He's not a big guy, but he's not a small guy. Normally about 6'6", 6'7", maybe 6'8", around there, and he's supposed to be a really good defender while adding a bag offensively. You have your power forward, which is not a massive, big center guy, but he's not a small guy at all, so he's also big. Normally doesn't have a lot of handling skills. Normally is a good defender, a decent shot blocker. And then you have your center. Those are the 7-footers, the 7'2"ers, the big 300-pound guys that are made of pure muscle. You think of guys like Shaq, Kareem, Wilt. Guys are just stuffing shots, phenomenal defense, dunks everything, layups everything. Those are your phenomenal big centers. And so those are the positions of basketball. Now, we talked about basketball being worldwide because of these big-time names like Michael Jordan. And it was, but it didn't really get worldwide until 1992. And that was when the Michael Jordan helped bring basketball really to the international audience. When in the 1992 Olympics, Team USA went undefeated and swept the Olympics, and they are known as the Dream Team, that everybody loves and adores. They absolutely dominated everybody. Had some of the best players in the world all at the same team, just dominating international competition. And in today's time, players like LeBron, as we've mentioned, have also helped basketball stay very popular. LeBron James is the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. To transition to college basketball, the most popular teams that are known as the Blue Bloods, ironically, all these teams actually happen to be blue. Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, North Carolina, UCLA actually leads the NCAA in national titles with 11. Teams like UConn, who has 6 national titles, Kentucky has 8, North Carolina has 6, Duke has 5. So those teams known as the Blue Bloods kind of make up college basketball, known as the star-studded basketball. And so that's kind of the history of basketball, both in college, the NBA. And so if I was to leave you off with anything, knowing what you know now about basketball, my question to you would be, if you watch basketball, who do you pull for? Maybe it's a team because you live there, like Tennessee. Maybe it's a team like Duke or Kentucky because they're really good. Or in the NBA, you're a Lakers fan because you really love Kobe. Or you're a Warriors fan because you really love Steph Curry. Who are you a fan of? And lastly, if you played basketball, what position would you happen to play? And why would you play the position? Are you short? Probably going to be a point guard, a flat-out shooter, shooting guard. You're a big guy, maybe a center, maybe a power forward, somewhere in between, maybe a small forward. But what position would you play and why? And would you be good at it? And that is my memorable closing. I hope that you learned a lot about basketball today.